Testosterone, we have a problem.
This is Outside the Manosphere, where two guys with zero credentials dive past the cliches of masculinity and try and become better friends by actually talking to each other. It's weirdly hard, but we're doing it anyway. Join us.
Welcome to Outside the Manosphere. My name is Carlos.
And I'm Skip.
Skip, my good buddy, what's been happening?
Not a whole heck of a lot. We're just kind of adjusting to being back in the Czech Republic. And yesterday I got dental work done. So that was super, super duper fun.
Like a cleaning or like a good drilling? What happened?
Like a good drilling, yeah. I've had pretty good, just generally like health and dentistry and all that my whole life. But then, at some point, like 40, just everything started going downhill at the same time. So I haven't had like a lot of dental work. I had like 2 fillings before, and yesterday they had to be redone. I guess they weren't done well the first time. I don't know. And then I have to get 1 new one. So I'll have had 3 cavities by the time I'm 46, and that's not terrible, but I'd prefer 0.
So that's a pretty good record. Yeah, this is a bit of a synchronicity for me because I was just like not maybe 45 minutes ago, I was calling this dental place in town because I got approved for this federal dental plan because I'm poor, and I was calling to set up an appointment and to make sure that that they take the federal plan, which is funny because I haven't been to the dentist in 20 years probably. It's been a very, very long time. I have my own, this is how like scrappy I've been for so long. I have my own dental tools, and I scrape my own tartar. I've been doing that for years. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm doing any damage, but I always feel pretty darn good after a tartar session, after a tartar scraping session, but I'm not doing it professionally. So I think I need to get in there and have someone do it.
Well, yeah, it's funny that you say that you haven't seen a dentist for so long, because I have just recently seen the dentist for the first time in I don't know how many years. And I'd been going to a dental hygienist getting my teeth cleaned. And for some reason, it just like didn't cross my mind that I wasn't going to the dentist. I was just getting my teeth cleaned. And so I've been going to this guy for years, and he's like, "Oh, you should go see the dentist." And
you should go see he's like, "You should go see a real dentist." I'm like, "What?"
and I was like, it just like hadn't even occurred to me that if something was wrong, he wouldn't know or wouldn't tell me or whatever. And he was like, "Yeah, I'd like to see some, there's just something here, and I'd like to see an X-ray, but I don't have one because you've not been to the dentist." And I was like, "I haven't?" It's like one of those, like, I'm so put together normally. Like I have, my lists and everything, and things are on auto pay and all the stuff. And I was just like, "Oh, that's kind of embarrassing." So yeah, I'm usually pretty good about this stuff, but I didn't go to the dentist for a long time, and maybe that's why I needed some work. But as a result, I was thinking yesterday, like, I paid $200 to somebody to do this to me. It's just terrible. And and then I was thinking about complaining it to you about it just now, and realized like, well, that actually probably sounds pretty good if you're in the US, but it's a lot here.
Yeah, I think it's not far off in the US. I think actually, I think that's, I don't know. Like I said, it's been a very long time since I've been to the dentist, but well, not to get a cavity filled. I think it's quite a bit more than that actually. Now that you now that I think about it.
When I was in Texas was the last time I was in the US and had dental, but I guess insurance. I had like state dental insurance because I was working at a public school. And I went in, and they said I needed like 8 cavities filled and all this work done, and it was going to cost $5,000 after insurance. And I was like, holy shit. And then I was like, well, I'm going to hold off, and because I'm planning on moving back to the Czech Republic. So I came back to the Czech Republic and went to the dentist, and they're like, everything's fine. So not only was it $5,000 after taxes, but they were just trying to run up the bill. It seems like
right
to make that sweet dental money.
Well, the last time I visited a dentist, they filled one cavity, and the guy was like, "Oh, we have there's a sticky spot here," and he kept like tapping, and he's like, "We should just do both of them now." He's like, "It's not a problem now, but it's going to be." And I was like, well, "Let's just hold off," because I knew it was going to be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see he was like really pushing to do it. And at the time, I was like, "Okay, well, he knows where this is going, and he knows that I'm going to put it off, and the odds of me coming back to take care of it are low, and I'll probably lose a
Yeah.
tooth or something like that." And so he didn't fill it. He didn't mess with it. And I haven't been back. And the tooth is perfectly fine. As far as I know, maybe it's like rotting from the inside out. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, my feeling is the guy was trying to get just money out of me by doing a bunch of unnecessary dental work, which is fucked up.
Yeah. That's a lot of false cavities to be wrong about. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I appreciate, I mean, one thing, like there are problems with the socialized medicine. Like there are things that the US is better at, but overall, I think they're pretty close in quality. But the one thing that I really appreciate about here is they're not just trying to like bilk you out of a bunch of money. It's really nice not to be pushed into things to run up bills.
Yeah, well, yeah. Here, it's a similar thing. It's a weird hybrid here because it's not totally socialized, but like I've thought about it in terms of education because here they do like you can get a good education for, well, no, it's expensive here too. I should probably just shut my mouth because I don't know a lot about Canadian stuff. But like for example, my paramedic school, I got it largely paid for. I still have student loans over it, but I got it largely paid for with grants and bursaries and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But what I didn't realize was it's essentially the same thing. They're just like sucking money out of the government. So it's like the schools are basically billing the government. So it's like this weird reversal. I don't know, like the hospitals in the U.S. are getting it from the insurance companies, and the insurance companies in some way. You know what? I'm going to stop talking because I don't know all the details. But it's this weird reversal of like socialism, capitalism, and there's a source of money coming in to these practitioners that they're exploiting, and I'll just leave that unsubstantiated bit of information out there to float in the air.
Fun. So how is your week going since we've just talked about my dentistry for 10 minutes?
Yeah, we'll probably be cutting my expertise in the last bit there. Because that's the kind of information we bring you here at Outside the Manosphere. My week has been really busy, man. And like, again, I feel like I keep saying this, like I'm just always disoriented. Today's the first day that I feel super rested, but yeah, like shift work is tough. I mean, it's really, really tough. And I don't know if it's tough just because I'm like old or if it would have always been, but yeah. It's I'm still getting used to it, and I'm looking forward to this week. This month. Jody's going out of town. I'm going to stay home for like 10 days. So I'll just be able to like catch up on a lot of things and do some creative stuff, do some like consistent like mental work on myself. And yeah. And then after that, I'll have another 10 days off in September into Texas. So like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to just sort of, I just started working. I'm like, look, I'm really looking forward to some time off. But it's a lot, man. It takes a lot of mental energy, and physically, it's pretty tough too. It can be anyway, or it can be the way I've described it. Maybe to you, maybe to somebody, I don't know. Is that it's extremely boring or extremely busy? That's how this kind of shift work is. So yeah, it's been, to answer your question, it's been a busy week.
Well, I was going to ask you, how's your anxiety? Because you, like a while back, you said this is the first time you've had anxiety, and I was flabbergasted. But
yeah, well, and again, I did qualify that because it wasn't the first time I had anxiety. It's the first time I had maybe like pathological anxiety because, like, you start a job, you're a little anxious, or you first day of school, you're anxious, or that kind of thing. Any sort of new environment, most people, I think, have that sort of bit of anxiety. But this was the first time I had consistent, like, daily anxiety, and yeah, it was like almost crippling. And it's, to answer your question, it's gone essentially. Like, I mean, every now and then I'll have like a little like, what's this call going to be about? But largely it's gone. I feel confident. I feel good about where I'm at. So, and I feel good about asking questions if I don't know what's going on, which was a concern of mine previously. So yeah, I'm fine now.
So Carlos, are you ready to fall in love?
Let's do it, Skip. I'm ready.
All right, we're all the way up to question 15 out of the 36 questions to fall in love. And it is, what is the greatest accomplishment of your life?
The greatest accomplishment of my life. I don't know. um, okay, so I'm going to modify this question. And when you're up, feel free to answer the greatest accomplishment of your life if you've got one. I'm going to modify it to like just list off some things I'm proud of because I can't think of a single accomplishment that I'm like, I did that. Because I've had so many like periods where I'm like, oh man, this is the greatest thing I've ever done. And I'm I'm really pleased with it. But like, what is an accomplishment exactly? So I guess so. Pride is what I'm gonna switch to. I'm very proud of myself. I mean, just for achieving a 4-year degree, even though it's an English degree, I thought that was a nice little accomplishment. I'm very proud of myself for accomplishing paramedic school at my age. Anyway, I'm also, and these are achievements. I think definitely those, but I think an achievement, my travels, the things that I've done, the sort of adventurous things that I've done, I've always taken a lot of pride in those things because as we've said before, it's the kind of thing that a lot of people yearn to do, but they don't.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've always not necessarily from like a seat of like, or not at all from a seat of like superiority or like I can do it and you can't sort of thing, but I've always really enjoyed that I've done them and that it's something that people have wanted to, but like for one reason or another couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a big point of pride for me as well. I've said this before, and I don't mean to sound like I'm pandering either to my wife or to women, but like I am very proud of myself for being what I would think is a good husband. I think Jody would agree, and I think I've been a good husband to her. I think I've been a good partner to her, and I haven't always been a good partner to the women in my life, just from my own sort of stupidity and my own sort of like jealousies and classic or traditional masculinity that I really feel like I've broken with. There are also some like recurring familial things that I think I've
Mm-hmm.
broken with that I'm really happy about. Like I don't drink. Like alcoholism has been a huge issue in my family, not just from like immediate family, but like ancestrally as well. And I don't really drink at all. I drink sometimes, but I don't. To say drink is I think the wrong word because I'll have like a glass of wine or I'll have like half a beer with Jody or whatever. Yeah, I also spiritually, I think the things that I've sort of landed on, I'm very happy with, and I'm very proud of myself for the state of mind that I really feel like I put myself into, in a way that I remember my friend described it as like I fixed myself in a way that it took her therapy, and not that she's like messed up or anything, but like everyone needs to talk things out. And she's an extremely healthy minded person, and a compliment she paid me was that I have sort of reached that without through meditation and through things like
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of people use or need therapy for. So yeah, I think that's those are some achievements and accomplishments and things that I'm proud of. What about you? What is if you want to answer the question, what is the greatest accomplishment of your life?
Yeah. As always, I like going second because you say things that make me think and change my answer and things like that. And I think, listening to you, I think the greatest accomplishment anybody could have is being like happy and fulfilled. So yeah, that's a hell of an accomplishment. I cannot say that I'm fully happier or fulfilled, but I am at moments and I work on it. So I think for me, I'm going to do sort of a cheater answer and say like my greatest accomplishment is sort of having lived sort of a weird life in the sense that, there were a lot of times where I had avenues to go in more profitable directions, more career oriented or more whatever, and make more money, be more stable, whatever. And I've taken a real circuitous route to where I'm at. And, there are definite drawbacks to that, but there's no way I would have been able to do those similar kinds of things that you were mentioning, like walking across America or, doing the Mongol rally and driving from Prague to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia and seeing so much of the world if I had followed kind of those more traditional avenues. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm proud of, but I think the greatest accomplishment has been just kind of doing my best and not always succeeding, but doing my best to follow the path that is really, I'm not going to say ideal for me, but like is the best fit that I've managed for for myself.
Yeah, I get that. I totally
Yeah.
get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nice.
that's probably what it is. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's hard to not say like something about, wife or kids or lots of things. But I think all those get nicely folded into just trying to like live the ideal life for me and trying to get better at doing that
Yeah.
as I move along.
I feel like we could just mesh our answers together because that's kind of, I think I
Yeah.
feel exactly the same way. And I too have taken a circuitous route to like where I'm at now. In fact, so much so that I don't know if you feel the same way about yourself, but I've kind of categorized myself, and this sounds like embarrassing, but as like a late bloomer, meaning I've reached certain things that I see a lot of young people hitting much earlier. And I'm like, well,
Mm,
that's fine. I'm doing that now in my 30s or in my late 20s or in my
yeah.
40s or whatever, and it just took me a long time to get there, but I'm there now, and now I can start moving in this direction from this position. But I also think of that as like a sort of fountain of youth. You know what I mean? Like if you're always
Yeah.
starting things late, then you're just kind of going to live that much longer to get to the end. You know?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I am like chronologically. Yeah, I'm a late bloomer. I didn't graduate college till I was like, do some math here, 26, 25, 26. And, I didn't get married till I was in my 30s and didn't have my first kid I didn't have my biological son until I was 35, or I guess later, I guess, gosh, 38. So,
Hmm.
yeah, definitely could be classified as a late bloomer. But the thing that I never feel like I'm a late bloomer because like I put off graduating college. And one of the reasons I put off graduating college is I wasn't prepared. If I had gotten a degree in something, it wouldn't have been something that I appreciated. I would have pushed myself through. I wouldn't have got as good grades. And I would have felt like I had to do that thing for work. Like
Yeah.
I was indebted to it. And like the way that I went through, I enjoyed my degree and I didn't feel beholden to it in the way
Hmm.
that I could. So like so I got a degree in math just to so that that's clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and like and like I've always enjoyed my relationship with math and I've taught math and I've done things at times, but I was well on the track to be like a professor at a university, and I think that would have made me really unhappy.
Right.
So being able to, and there's kind of a longer story, but being able to step away from that, I think waiting was, I feel like for me personally, it was the mature thing to do because I
Hmm.
wasn't ready to be at the spot that I
Right.
was.
Yeah.
So, and I was ready to make other mistakes.
Well, and when I say late bloomer, I don't mean necessarily being naive or clueless or anything like that. Because I think everything you described is exactly the same thing with me, and it wasn't because we didn't know what we were doing. Like you said, like you put off graduating. That was a choice. You were thinking about it,
Mhm.
and in the same vein, almost all the decisions that I've ever made in life, I put a lot of thought into them, and I do calculations, and I consider the outcomes, and so it's not like, well, I guess I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to wander this direction and shrug my shoulders, see what happens. That I think is a youthful sort of activity, and that's not what I meant when I say late bloomer. I put a lot of thought into all my actions, and I just arrive, I think, in places that maybe if I didn't, if I just followed direction, and if I
Mhm.
if I went to school right after high school, if I went to college or university right after high school, I'd probably be financially much farther ahead.
Right.
But where would I be intellectually? Where would I be mentally? I don't know. I don't think I'd be where I'm at right now. And so, in that sense, like I call myself a late bloomer because if I just done what I was told, I don't know. I don't know where I'd be right now. But I discover on my own, and that's what I mean by late bloomer, and I stand by it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's virtue in kind of discovering things and getting a depth of understanding about life and the way that you fit into it rather than just kind of following directions and going along. And I think some of the best things that I've learned in life were from the paths that I didn't want to follow. I've learned a
Right.
lot from those, and I wouldn't have learned all those things. And I don't think, even though I do think I would be much more financially successful than I am now, I certainly don't think I'd be as happy as I am now.
All right, Skip. Well, you had sent me an article that I found very interesting, and it's pretty short, but Well, let's just jump into it. The article is called Man Keeping is Why Women Are Done with Dating. And it's by a woman named Ashley Fike. It's on vice.com. And why don't you just jump into it? You tell me what you found so interesting that you had to send it to me.
Well, I think the interesting thing is, for one, man keeping wasn't what I initially assumed. What I initially assumed was that man keeping was going to be about taking care of these childlike men who can't do their dishes or laundry or anything like that.
Right.
And, like, I do think that that's genuinely a problem, especially, in places like the Czech Republic, where mothers take care of their boys for so long and there's those gendered expectations and things like that, and they just sort of don't grow up. But what it was really talking about is the emotional labor, not the physical labor, not the housework or anything like that, but the emotional labor that women end up doing in these relationships, and how it's making them drop from the dating scene because essentially of things that we've talked about before. We've got this male, quote unquote male loneliness epidemic, and we've talked in the past about men losing their friends as they get older and they have kids and careers and things like that, and they end up basically leaning on their spouse or their partner so heavily for all kind of the emotional unburdening. And which is, it's good to be able to do that, but to be the singular outlet for all that, and basically also be the therapist and hold up all this kind of like emotional support. And in a lot of ways, when you're doing something like that, it stifles you as well emotionally. It makes you, because you're in charge of being the support for somebody else, you aren't able to unburden yourself of those same things and have kind of a reciprocal relationship. So that's kind of what it was about. And I like to always dig into the things. And there's kind of a study from Stanford that was one of the sources for this. And it was really leaning on men's struggles with friendships, which is something that we've talked about before, and how it affects women and things like that. And I thought it was really interesting because it really wasn't what I initially thought it was going to be. And it is something that we've talked about a lot before, but it also gives us a new angle, and it talks a bit about how women are leaving the dating scene because it's too much work to do that. And then of course the comments on the Vice article on online were just horrendous.
Oh, I didn't see. I didn't. Yeah, you had said the comments too, and I didn't check them out. But what you had just said now about reciprocity really, really stuck out for me too in the article. And let me just define man keeping, because I'd never heard of it before. It kind of intuitively, okay, housekeeping, man keeping, you're kind of taken care of. But what they have here in the article is, quote, man keeping describes the emotional labor women end up doing in heterosexual relationships. I think that's interesting that they specified heterosexual. I mean, I guess. Well, who knows? But anyway, I'm going to move on. It goes beyond remembering birthdays or coordinating social plans, which is something that women tend to do in relationships, at least in our age group anyway. Maybe it's a little bit different with
Sure.
younger people. I'm not sure. It means being your partner's one-man support system, managing his stress, interpreting his moods, holding his hand through feelings he won't share with anyone else. All of it unpaid, unacknowledged, and often unreciprocated. And the unreciprocated part really hit me because I'm like, man, have I done that? Have I been that sort of like emotional burden for partners in the past? And I mean, surely I have. That's actually a question I wanted to ask you. Have you seen yourself in any of this?
Oh, I immediately, or not immediately, but at some point I asked Jess, I was like, do you feel like I do this? Because, like I do have you and some friends, but like it in many ways, like we're definitely each other's closest compatriots and
Yeah.
confidants and things like that. But I think that ours tends to be, and this is kind of what she said, ours tends to be much more reciprocal, and we do lean on each other for support, but it's in a complimentary way. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely something I was concerned about, and it's definitely one of the reasons why we started this podcast, was
Right.
because I did feel like I had not a lot of other things going aside from her, and so, and and a number of friendly acquaintances that I didn't feel open to talking like this,
Right.
and kind of sharing a lot of things with. So, and it's not like I haven't wanted those things, but it's uncomfortable. Like, as we say in our little intro, it's weirdly difficult
Yeah.
to kind of open up to people when well, especially if you've known them forever and you
Yeah.
haven't really done it before.
Right.
But even weirder if you've just met someone like, hey, nice to meet you. Want to get a beer? Let's talk about, deep personal drama or whatever.
You know what's funny too is you reminded me with this whole, like, this podcast itself, I think is representative of both you and myself, because like at times in my life when I've been unhappy, rather than like slowly working through it, I just explode into something different. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And like I'll take a big trip, or I'll move, or I'll do something that's extreme, rather than like, all right, I'm going to work this out from the position that I'm at. And what you were saying, how I have these few relationships, and myself included. I have these few relationships, and I'm feeling like I need to talk things out, or I need to, like, develop some more friendships, rather than like joining a soccer club or something. Let's record this and blast it to like anyone who will listen to it. You know what I mean? Like, to me, this
Yeah,
is just another extreme sort of response to maybe a behavior that that wasn't working out for me. You know what I mean? I was like, you know
sure.
what? Rather than like take care of this on a small scale, let's just go big.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah. This is like another sort of adventure, I'd say.
Well, and like the extreme response really hits home for me because that's the thing I live by almost.
Right.
Whether that's good or not. It's like I'm not happy. I'm stuck in a rut. I want to change the country and the language I speak and everything. Like,
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what
and
I'm talking about.
because it's novel and it's interesting and it's definitely going to make me happy. Real honestly, for a while. Um, so I know that it's a solution, and it's sometimes hard to find other solutions, and sometimes, like when you really dig in, you're like, well, I don't know. I don't know if there are any feasible solutions for me. Like if there's entrenched social like systems that are making me unhappy, there's not much I can do about that. So like I might as well try and make myself happier with big changes or whatever.
Well, but you could argue that you are doing something about it just with this podcast alone. I mean, you're not changing the system necessarily,
Right.
but changing the sort of cultural mood will eventually change the system. You know what I mean? Like that is action, I think,
Yeah.
arguably.
Just very, very slow Sisyphusian podcasting.
Well, you never know. I mean,
Yeah.
if we reach one person, Skip, then it's a success.
Mm.
But going back to this article, they said in a Pew Research, you had kind of mentioned it before. Let me just find it here. According to Pew Research, only 38% of single women in the U.S. are currently, this is quote, are currently looking
Mhm.
for a relationship. And among single men, that number jumps to 61%, which I think is a really interesting dynamic that women
Yeah.
are like, nah. And guys are like, yeah, I need a mommy.
Yeah.
I need someone to hold my hand.
Well, even if it's not a mommy, and I do think there are guys out there that get, hit as a bystander to this because there is sort
Right.
of this huge gap. So it's harder for men, even men that might be capable, to find these women that are also looking because and like the systems for finding each other is like blurbs on Tinder or something like that. So like how do you really identify people in that way? Anyway, so it's just I think it's really hard out there. But if we were to give people advice doing not this, don't like go out and to a podcast, but like but like go develop male friendships that are deeper and can give you the support and growth and not be toxic and not turn into hating the opposite gender and all these things, but like learning to navigate through all this stuff in a healthy way, like that's gonna be put you into a better position. And I think like most of the times where most if not all of the times that I've ended up dating somebody, it's not been through an app or something. It's been through meeting them through friends of friends or being working with them or something like that. So growing your social network is one of the better ways to meet and kind of get that social voucher or something
Mhm.
like that. So you're sort of vouched for by
Oh,
knowing
sure.
people.
Yeah, I get it now.
And like so if the ultimate goal or if the problem is that men are meeting fewer women because women are just like, no, this is too much fucking work. Like, some men are babies, some men want to lean on you for all the emotional support, some men are scary, like which are all very good reasons not to want to date. Like like being the best, healthiest version of yourself, so that sort of the nature thing with the peacock with all the colors, or the
Yeah.
pretty fish or the pretty birds, like do the best version of yourself so that when there is an opportunity, it's, you attract a mate instead of immediately turning them off because you don't know how to, like, clean yourself or whatever.
Which unfortunately is a big problem for a lot of people or a lot of guys.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and I think so. When I look at myself in this sort of light, I've always been introverted. I'm a happy introvert. I don't need like big social settings. I don't need a lot of people to draw energy from. And in fact, a lot of people draw energy away from me, and
Hmm.
I'm always exhausted after like a social event or whatever, which I rarely go to because maybe I'm being man kept. I don't know, but I've always found like Jody is my best friend, and I'm hers. I say I won't speak for her, but I'm pretty awesome, and she satisfies a lot of kind of the social need that I need. Like I don't need a ton of people around me to feel I don't know, socialize. Is a stupid word or a stupid way to describe it, but I also reciprocate, and I think that's key. Is like
Yeah,
I don't need a lot of people, but like when Jody needs something or emotional support of some kind, I don't dismiss her as like, oh, that's a stupid problem. Why don't you just do this? Or I don't. Well, I hope anyway. Maybe she would disagree, but I don't. I listen to her, and
yeah,
I guess what I'm trying to articulate is you can be someone that doesn't need a lot of a big social circle, and still be a good partner and not be man kept. You know what I mean? You can still
yeah,
have a small circle of friends and still be a good partner and a desirable partner. And yeah, like I said, like I've got you, I've got maybe one other person I think that I can think of that are like, that I consider very close to me.
yeah.
And that's really all I need. But I don't think I'm an emotional burden. Maybe again, maybe Jody would disagree, but I don't think I'm an emotional burden to Jody, and I don't lean on her for emotional support. But I do have like family that I talk to on a regular basis. I do talk to my sisters. I even talk to my niece who's a child, but like I still talk to these people. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but
No, I mean, I think you're hitting a lot of, okay, so in this article, one of the things that they talk about is they're studying, this is the Stanford article that I also attached. They're talking about the social science of close relationships, and they're talking about emotional skill sets like listening, empathy, reciprocity, nurturing. And like that's what I think this is hitting on mostly, is that when people are being man kept or whatever, they're unloading.
mhm,
They're not capable of doing the listening. They're not capable of doing the empathy and reciprocity and nurturing their partner. And like when I like I said, I went on the comments because I don't usually read comments, but I was like, I am very curious here. And naturally the first ones were like, what about women keeping? Women keeping's been going on forever. That's what high maintenance is. And it's like, well, that's not what that is. Like high maintenance is a completely different thing. And oftentimes, whether a woman is low maintenance or high maintenance or whatever, they have social relationships
right,
where they're still doing things. Uh, but it was just a very kind of masculine response to this, rather than being open to seeing the possibility and having empathy for another position. They stopped listening, they
yeah,
stopped empathy, they stopped any kind of nurturing, and there was no reciprocity, which are the things that this study is keying into as what is the science of close relationships. And I think there's, continuing on with the manosphere thing, there's a quote in this article which I think is really the heart of where this is coming from in the manosphere. Is a guy named Blake says, we're all trying to be alpha men. So to be vulnerable and close to people is hard. Because of the world that we live in, I feel emotionally repressed and stunted. I can't even get in touch with my own feelings, or truly with my own feelings. And it's so you can imagine that somebody that comes from that mindset, they're not capable of giving that back to
right.
somebody that they're leaning on for it.
Well, and the women involved with that exact dynamic are the ones being accused of being high maintenance because they need that emotional availability that's not being reciprocated at all.
Right.
Other than like a man complaining about something, but they're not. I mean, I guess if you're calling a woman high maintenance, I mean, everyone's different, I suppose, and every man and woman is different. But if you're calling a woman high maintenance, it's probably because you're an unsatisfying partner to them.
Yeah.
You know, they need
Right.
more from you than you're giving.
And you may not be a good fit, but most likely, in a lot of situations, like you're being a dick and you're not paying attention and they're reacting to it.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, yeah, it's also some relationships just aren't made in heaven, and and they're not going to work out no matter what you do. And of course, there are some problematic women. It's not always just the men, but like that make a relationship a bad relationship. But yeah, I mean that calling a woman high maintenance, what a shithead, or what shitheads? Because I guess there's a lot going on in the comments. Huh? I didn't even look at those.
Yeah, I didn't. I looked at them like for all of 10 or 15 seconds and then moved on. I don't even have a link for it. So
I catch myself like feeding on comments sometimes, and I'm like, oh, this is gross. Stop that. And yeah, because it's just like, oh, I want to see what people say about like this racial thing or this sexist thing, and I like, oh yeah, I just kind of confirm, oh yeah, the world's a shitty place, and then I and then I move away.
yeah, I'm not like I'm not great at like steering away from news or things or getting obsessed with politics or anything like that. But one thing I almost never look at the comments because I just know it's a festering cesspool that's not worth my time. But this was one case where I was like, I was really curious. Okay, this is about how men are unable to respond healthy in an emotional way.
Right.
So I really want to see the responses. And I was not disappointed in that. I was very disappointed.
Yeah, I was going to say it's almost always predictable too, and
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons. Well, I know one of the reasons I read the comments is because I want to take the temperature of who's reading and who's commenting, but I also want to see who's defending, and it's always like a little ray of sunshine when I see somebody defending it.
Yeah.
That gets quickly darkened when they keep fighting, like they're just fighting and fighting and fighting, and it's just so unhealthy. I'm like, there have been times when I'm just kind of quietly reading people's actions, and I want to reach out like privately or even publicly to the person defending this issue. I'm like, dude, just like stop. Like you're wasting your breath.
Yeah.
You're killing yourself fighting these people. Like just go, like stop. Just don't do it. But then I realized that's again, I stopped commenting on like social media years ago because I'm like, no, I'm being baited into these things. It's irresistible. I can't stop. And then I get so pissed off, and I see these well-intentioned people doing that very thing. And I'm like, you guys are just going to be angry after this. Like, just move on. Like these trolls are just feeding themselves, and they're enjoying feeding themselves. Like, just get out of it.
Well, and social media is set up to provoke you into these encounters because the longer you're interacting and the more you can't look away, the more money they make. It's in their financial best interest to make you unhappy and broken. Again, going back to this Stanford article, there's this little graphic. I don't know if you had seen this, but it's friendship decline more pronounced among men. And one of the things that's really key, if you look at it, it's comparing 1990 to 2021, so a 31-year gap. It's declined in both men and women, like friendship, and it's defining friendship as people who the number of close friends, not counting relatives. And so like in 1990, 40% of men had 10 or more close friends. And in 2021, only 15% or more.
Oh,
and
wow.
With women, it's 28% versus 11%. So they were less in both scenarios. They had fewer close friends in both scenarios, or fewer women with 10 or more close friends, I should say. But overall, they had more close friends because they just had close friends, but fewer of them. But now it's really quite stark how much men have declined compared to before. But I think a lot of it is these, the increased social media and our dependency on phones and, all the apps that take place of social interaction. They deprive us of opportunities to meet friends and to strengthen those bonds in a lot of cases. And it's only going to get worse with you hear stories all the time about people that are like, my new best friend or my romantic partner's AI.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in love with my AI partner.
It's like falling in love with your reflection. It's like my best friend is in the mirror and it's only going to get worse. And unfortunately, that's what these $1 million companies want. And even more unfortunately is that, AI models are statistical wizards. That's how they work. And if their goal is to get you to engage, they're going to figure out how to do it. They're going to figure out if this person is susceptible to this, man, I am going to say just the right things to get them to stay on here as long as I can.
And it's
And
one
like,
click. It's one
yeah.
click. That's it. And then you're bombarded. Case in point, well, not case in point, but to illustrate how they just feed you this stuff, I had seen like a reel on, I think it was Facebook, and it was a woman, like an elderly woman from like a traffic camera or whatever. She was walking, and a dog, it was like racing at her, and it like grabbed her thing and it was sort of to pull her down. I'm like, ooh, click, because I wanted to see like a happy ending. I wanted to see like this woman, like people rush to her aid and like they defend her against this dog. As this woman get pulled down by a dog, another dog shows up, starts pulling at her pant leg. Another dog shows up, starts pulling at her other pant leg. She's just being yanked in 3 different directions. And I want to say a 4th dog even came. And I was like, okay, let's see the pedestrians are going to come running up and like shoo these dogs away. The reel just ended. Like there wasn't even like a conclusion. It was like, watch this woman getting attacked by dogs.
Yeah.
And after that, after I clicked it, I'm like, great. Now I'm just going to get like all these violent reels.
Right.
I haven't seen that happen, but it's just like, what is happening now that's there wasn't even a resolution to this thing. It was just like, watch this violence and enjoy.
Yeah. Well, and what even more insidious, and this is my learning, my educational background coming in, is like what that plays to, especially with reels and how addictive reels are. And there's like scientific evidence that watching reels basically just really messes with your brain, like really badly. It makes you more likely to be depressed. It makes you less likely to be involved in your life. There's lots of problems with it, but what it does is it does the same thing that makes gambling so addictive, and it relies on random intermittent rewards. So you're looking through, you're scrolling through, and then you find one that makes you smile, and that makes you just want to keep going, because you never know when the next video is going to be something that makes you happy and gets that hit of serotonin or dopamine or whatever. So it's really highly addictive, and it trains you to sit on these things for long periods of time, hoping that you're going to get this next hit. And it's all designed, like it's really worth stressing. It's all designed to keep you there, just to keep your eyes there. And it doesn't care if you're damaged. It doesn't care if it's doing things that are unethical. It's just keep the eyes on there, because that's how Zuck makes money.
Yeah, no, well, not just Zuck though. That's like, with the way that's exactly the reason why I never touched TikTok. I saw what that was, and I'm like, yeah, fuck that, man. I'm not gonna get sucked into that thing and then just be looking at my phone for reel after reel after reel, and you're just stuck there. And you just swipe. So I mean, you're just constantly watching these 5 to 10 second clips of madness, and you're just stuck in it. And and now Facebook's introduced them into Instagram and Facebook itself. So yeah, in fact, just today I didn't delete Facebook from my phone, but I took it off my home screen, just because I realized with work and the times that I'm waiting between calls, I'm just like, I'll start scrolling. And I finally brought some books into my little travel bag that I take there, and yeah, I'm trying to think of some healthier alternatives when there's downtime at the stations, because it's going to quickly get out of hand if I'm just always on social media doing nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and that's the wild thing. It's like, it's so easy to be unhealthy, and it takes concerted effort to make a healthy decision and like do other things. I like when I'm riding like a tram around, and I started noticing it a couple years ago, like mostly at that point it was teenage girls. It was these endless 5-second videos that they're just watching. And then I started seeing adults do it, and teenage boys, and then it's just like everywhere, everyone, all the time. And the whole time, like, just, and you can't even help it. Like, you don't even have the headphones. It's not even your phone, but you're like looking, and you're like, oh. And you're like, it's so insidious and it's so like shallow and uninformative of the world or anything like that, but it's meant to just get you in, and it does a very good job of it.
Yeah, when you were describing it before, it reminded me, like when you're talking about gambling, it reminded me of a slot machine. Eventually, I'm gonna get the 3 cherries and get $5.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't even, and it's worse than gambling because they don't care. They're happy to give you the win every once in a while because it doesn't cost them anything. It makes them money. So unlike gambling, they're perfectly happy to reward you even more frequently and make that bond even stronger.
Yeah, man. Fuck social media.
Fuck podcasts while you're at it. No.
Yeah, no, you guys stay here with us. We don't use algorithms. Or probably, I guess, yeah. Yeah, we don't intentionally. I think like with Spotify and Apple and all that stuff, they probably, will throw us in front of the proper, well, hopefully throw us in front of the proper audience. But anyway, we're not delicious like reels on TikTok. So
yeah, I don't think that we get enough traction to be thrown in front of anybody.
Yeah, probably not. No.
I think if people find us, it's pure dumb luck.
All right, Skip, I got a question for you that I have never asked you. I've wondered for a while. Just it comes and goes. Skip is not your birth name, no?
Nope, sort of not.
So it's not really connected at all to your like what your legal name, right?
No.
I would like to know where Skip came from, if you're willing to share.
Yeah. So Skip was apparently what my dad wanted to name me. Who knows the veracity of all this stuff, because you get little pieces of information, and when you're in a waspy family that doesn't talk, you don't always get like heartfelt stories. But so the version of this that I got was my sister, my half sister, who's older than me, 7 years older. She had gotten a dog and she had wanted to name it Max. Or no, she did name it Max, but she wanted to name it Skip. And my dad had said, no, if I ever have a kid, I'm naming him. If I ever have a boy, I'm naming it Skip. So apparently by this version, my dad always wanted to name me Skip. But I am Lloyd the Third.
Okay.
Because my grandfather was Lloyd and my dad was Lloyd and I'm Lloyd. And we're all called, like, my grandfather was Lloyd, my dad was Lloyd, and they call him by his middle name. And then I'm also the same name, but the third, and they've always called me Skip. And apparently I was named Lloyd because my grandfather was feeling down or something around the time that I was born. So they just kind of continued this lineage of Lloyd the Third, which, sounds like a royal gas station attendant. But the Czechs are always very impressed with it. They're always
with Lloyd.
No, with the third. They're always like, oh, you are like a king. You are like a king. Except that when I got my citizenship, they legally changed my name to not have the third because they didn't know how to do it in their system. Even though they have like Charles IV and stuff.
I was going to say, there's no like dynasties or something. I feel like that happens.
No,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, they were like, we don't know how to do it. So your name's Lloyd without the third now. Is that all right with you? And it's like, yeah, sure. That's fine. But since I was born, I've always been called Skip. I've never been called Lloyd my entire life. If you were like to call Lloyd in a crowded place, I probably wouldn't even be like keyed in auditorily to like hear that. Right. It would just be white noise to me. Unlike Skip, if somebody says Skip, like I turn and look, even if it's them using my name as a verb, which is the worst. Right. Having a name that's a verb is annoying. In case you didn't know.
Did you? No, I didn't know because there's no two Carlos. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what was? Do you have any idea why your dad was so keen on the name Skip?
I have no idea. It's not even a very cool name. It's not a cool name at all, actually. It's really a dorky name. But
hey.
I'm fine with it. I've made my peace with being named Skip, but it's not like, I mean, I've had girls that I dated that were like, that we didn't know each other and they were like, oh, I heard they hired a new guy named with a dorky name, and then I saw you and I was like, oh, they hired a cute guy with a dorky name. Back when I was much cuter.
You would
But yeah,
disarm them. You would disarm them like, hey, my name is
that's
Skip.
right.
And
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like some kind of clown or dog. Like I have a dog name, and then and then yeah, I would overwhelm them. I would sweep them off their feet with my not dog likeness.
that's funny. Well, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't, or if I did, I feel like that's lost from my memory. But no, I don't think I ever asked you where Skip came from.
Yeah, no, I had my first Czech girlfriend who was like, gosh, she was 10 years older than me, so
Mhm.
she was firmly raised under communism. And when she found out I had a different name on my passport, she was like, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can trust you. You might be a spy." Like,
Whoa.
yeah, she was like, "I don't even know who you are." And I was
Yeah.
like, it's just like this is just what I'm called. It's
Yeah.
normal for us to have nicknames. It's
Yeah. Yeah, that must have been super suspicious of somebody. Yeah, that's funny. I'd never considered that, but yeah, you hit a certain generation in the Czech Republic, and they're like super protective of themselves and
yeah,
suspicious of other people
for sure,
as a
for sure.
legacy of oppressive communism.
Well, I have a question for you, and it's actually not any of the ones on our list on our thing that you've had a chance to think about, but I don't think it'll be complicated. In a recent podcast, you mentioned how you've turned into your mom and you have a bunch of pets,
Uh-huh.
and I wanted to hear about your pets.
About my current pets or my life pets?
Your current pets. But if you want to go into life pets, if there's like an epic saga, that's fine. But I was more about your current situation. Yeah.
Okay, so I am going to go back to one pet in the past, but for right now, so we have 3 dogs and 2 cats. I call the cats my stepcats because Jody had them before we got together. And our 3 dogs, so we have a female and 2 boys. And the female we got as a puppy, pretty much right after we moved into our first place here in New Brunswick. She was like 8 weeks old and
Mhm.
just would melt people. She was so cute and so sweet, and she's grown up to love people. And anyone who encounters her is like, "Oh my god, this is the sweetest dog ever."
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
remember. I remember you sending videos of like her running at a camera when she was a puppy, and
yeah,
Jess and I would watch them like 4 or 5 times because it's just it's a cute floppy dog running, and
yeah.
what's better than that?
Yeah, she was so cute when she was a puppy, and she's still cute now. But really, what's so cute about her now is that she's just loves people so much. She jumped into the mailman's car once, like yeah, the guy had opened the door, gotten out of the car, and we were like, "Where's Birdie?" And you're looking, she's in the passenger seat, like waiting to be taken away. So anyway, I'll keep this brief because I realize this is about pets and not everyone can give a shit. But so Birdie was in heat one summer, and she got away from us. It was completely my fault. She got away from us for about an hour, and we were like, crap, because our neighbor's dog, who was terrified of humans, like he loved his master, and he wouldn't come within 10 feet of another person.
Mhm.
Really gentle. He's a big, scary looking dog, but he's really gentle, and but he was just really suspicious of people. Whenever Birdie would go into heat, she went into heat twice before he got to her. He was so eager to reach her that I remember one time we heard like a scratching, like, what's that sound? And he was at our door, like scratching at our door, trying to get in because Birdie was in heat. So anyway, she got away. We were living on some acreage, so we didn't know where she went. And yeah, he got to her. And so she got pregnant. It was in the winter time when she had the puppies. I guess it wasn't summer. It was in the winter time when she had her puppies. It was a really tough winter because there was 11 of them. They all survived. We were living
Oh
in like
my God.
we were living like a mobile home. Yeah, it was tough, man. There was a lot of arguments and a lot of just tension in the house. And we had already determined we were going to keep one, and we were going to give one to the neighbor because he was
His
the
fault.
grandfather. Yeah, it was his fault. And so the others we got rid of, and we created a Facebook group with the owners, so we still kind of keep track of all of them. Not keep track, but we have if we're ever curious like how they're doing, we can ask, or they're still around. Actually, one of them is a
So it's
paramedic, which incidentally he's a paramedic, and I've even met him on shift before. So what were you gonna say?
it's not like a Liam Neeson Taken situation. Like you don't keep track of them. So I have a set of skills.
Yeah.
I will find you.
Yeah, I'll find these puppies. No, so we're all in this group, and it's the couple of them, two of them have died. for various reasons. One of, I
Oh,
think,
geez.
from their own sickness or whatever. There's something in the genes, I think, where like one of ours has seizures occasionally, and there's another one that had seizures as well. They're both on medication. But anyway, so we kept a male, and we gave another male to our neighbor. We didn't want to give him a female because we were afraid, like, with all the males around, there was just going to be puppies
Right.
everywhere. And he has very much is a hands-off dog owner. So his dog has never been to the vet. It
Yeah.
roams freely in rural New Brunswick. So that was his approach. So anyway, our dog ended up being psycho and is extremely aggressive with other dogs and very aggressive with other animals. He's
Oh,
very
wow.
aggressive. He's very aggressive with other humans. He's never attacked a person, but man, like he is like had Amazon deliveries like just run off because like he's so ferocious and scary. Frankly, when like they come to the door, he's like at there snarling and spitting and like, yeah, he's a scary dog. And he and his brother would just fight. The amount of fights they got into to where there's just blood everywhere
Oh
and
my God.
gashes and holes in their body. Like, yeah, it was. They've had so many fights. So we kept them away, but we would also take care of that dog. So there were some winters where he'd sleep inside our house because he was just roaming free, and it'd be like minus 20 Celsius outside, which is
Yeah.
really
Which
cold.
is too fucking cold for a dog.
Yeah, he'd be outside, and we'd hear him yelping at the door, and at 2 a.m. we'd let him in and he'd sleep on our couch or whatever. So we took care of him largely. Anyway, so long story short, when we moved off the property, and I'm incriminating myself by saying this, but I'm doing it anyway, I would always be worried about him. I would always be wondering where he's at, if he's got food, if he's injured somewhere from a dog fight. Is he freezing to death? Is he caught in like a hunter's trap outside somewhere?
Yeah.
And we had taken him to the vet several times because of injuries or whatever. He's been stuck by porcupines. So when this was the thing I didn't admit previously on a podcast that now I'm admitting freely.
Yeah. I didn't expect you to go in this.
Yeah. So I guess I told you this. So anyway, we rescued him. And there was one winter, or it was last winter, it was so cold. I already knew he wasn't feeding him anymore because the dog wasn't eating his kibble. He wasn't sleeping indoors. He had injuries already from a German Shepherd down the road. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be losing sleep over this anymore. Someone had posted him on Facebook, like, who's this dog? He was being chased by 2 other dogs, and like, or who's this dog? He was in this town, and we called the pound. So I said, you know what? I know he likes the dog, but he's not taking care of him. He's never been to the vet.
Right.
He's not eating with him. He's not sleeping with him. Like I'm going to go reclaim him. So
He's
by
your
then
grandpuppy.
he's my grandpuppy. And by then we had already got our dog neutered. And so as soon as we got him neutered as well. And there hasn't been a fight. They're always a little bit competing with each other, but there's no aggression at all. There've been a couple growls here and there, but usually there's somebody home at all times, and they're not competing for resources. They're not competing for attention, and they haven't been fighting. So that's the long of it of my dog. I will now leave out the previous story from another pet that I've had that maybe one day I'll tell you about. But
Okay. Well, now I'm gonna have to ask you again another time, unless you don't want me to. But I think like with three dogs, like a little growling is not.
No, I think it's normal. Yeah,
that's pretty normal. So your cats, I mean, they got to be getting up there too.
Yeah. One of them's 13, the other one's 11, I think.
Wow.
And one of them is a Savannah cat, so it's like a second generation, like mixed with an African wildcat. And so
I remember that one.
Yeah, she's very interesting behaviorally. She looks interesting, and apparently she's going to live forever because it took her like 3 years to mature. She behaves like a kitten a lot of times. She's a 13-year-old, and she is a menace. And I don't think we'll be with her forever. Apparently, so.
Yeah. Well, you should post pictures of your pets to.
Yeah, maybe I will.
Because people love that stuff, and she is really an interesting looking cat. Like I'm not a cat person, but I remember her very, very strongly.
Yeah, she has spots. She has spots like a leopard.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, this is another place where we have deviated drastically, is that we're like on our last dog, and she is almost certainly our last dog, and she's lovely, but we want to not be held back by these creatures, these quadrupeds in our household. But you just seem to be collecting them.
Well, this is it for us because
Yeah.
we don't. That's why we're taking separate vacations because like nobody wants to
Yeah.
take care of 3 90-pound dogs. On top of that, like I said before, one of them is not aggressive with people but really distrustful,
Yeah.
and he definitely has me and Jody as like his people, and he doesn't really want anyone else around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's a handful, just emotionally, but
You're doing dog keeping.
we're
It's
dog
dog
keeping,
keeping.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're having to manage this emotional drain in our lives. But yeah, no, we're
Yeah.
not gonna like.
You just got to teach them empathy and reciprocity and
Yeah, it's like, hey, this is a one-way street, buddy. Like we need to change this up. But yeah, no. So Jody had never had dogs before, so and I even in Prague, I was like, one day we're gonna have a dog. You're gonna love dogs, and she absolutely loves them. And yeah, I think that we probably won't have cats again. Maybe have a small dog or two in the future, but yeah, I think I'm done with large ones. And there's definitely going to need to be a break between pet ownership
yeah.
because yeah, I need some space from
Yeah.
from this
Yeah.
responsibility.
That is understandable. Carlos,
Yes, sir.
what's bringing you joy this week?
What's bringing me joy this week is not actually this week or anything that's happened. It's what maybe I mentioned it before. I don't know if it made the cut or not, but I am really looking forward to about a week and a half away when I'm going to have a lot of time outside of work and a lot of quiet me time because Jody's going on vacation and I have a full itinerary of things that I want to do for myself. There's some shows that I want to catch up on. I'm probably going to go watch Superman at some point. I really want to remote view and meditate with consistency because I haven't been. Do some house stuff because we bought our place in October, so there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done still to the house.
Yeah, fair.
And I feel like Jody and I are a lot more productive when we're independent of each other because we kind of get into like relaxation mode whenever we have some downtime because I'm always at work where she's busy, and then when we're together we're like, let's sit and watch like a mutually agreed on TV show or something and have some popcorn or something, and the dogs have learned to enjoy that too. They're like, are we going downstairs now? Are we going to go downstairs and we're going to get our treats and we're going to watch TV for a little bit? So yeah, I'm looking forward to having sort of breaking that little lazy cycle and being a little more productive. So that's been on my mind this week. So that's why I say it's my joy this week. But nothing really concrete that's happened recently. What about you, man? What's going on? What's joyful for you this week?
Well, first of all, I actually have to go back to last week
Okay.
because I realized like immediately after we got done recording, you were asking me about my joy from the trip, and I neglected to say that we went to Cirque du Soleil. And I don't know if you've ever been to a Cirque du Soleil show,
I've
but they're
never been, no.
just, oh man, they're so amazing. Like, and for people listening, it's like crazy French circus acrobats, and like there are clowns and fun things, and this one didn't really have like a storyline. It was like just a straight up circus kind of situation, but like the things that people can do with their bodies are just, they're so fucking amazing. Like
Yeah.
it's something that like, and I'm getting older and like I can't do as many things as I used to be, so it would be easy to be like bitter about like seeing some of this stuff and just be like, oh man, I can't even fucking run. Like but like it's just like you see people, swinging around on ropes, or like there was these two girls that were like, there was a girl that was doing a handstand on top of another woman's hands, or no, on top of her feet. And she was like, went from like a handstand herself to rolling around on the ground till she was on her stomach. And the other woman's doing a handstand on her feet this whole time as
Man.
she's contorting to these different positions and like right back up. I mean, it's minutes and minutes and minutes that she's doing a handstand on somebody's feet as they're moving around and changing position. And like, I mean, it sounds weird, but like to see some of these things, or people swinging around on ropes or doing trapeze things, or on seesaws where they're jumping around, just the things that can be done that humans have invented to do and that our bodies are capable of is so joyous and so amazing. It's just like, it's thrilling. It's really beautiful and amazing. We're into the show like, gosh, like 5 minutes or something. And my 8-year-old goes, okay, I'm impressed. And it's just it was such a joy that like I couldn't rightly not talk about it, because if you ever, and like some this was a Christmas present, because this is the kind of Christmas present we try and do, is like the grandparents live in Las Vegas, and we were like, okay, they always ask us what we should do for Christmas, or they send us money, and we're like, no, 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 okay, we're going to be visiting you this year. We're going to take the kids to this show, and that's going to be the Christmas present. And we try and give the kids fewer plastic things that are going to end up filling a
Right.
landfill in 3 months, and more experiences. And man, since we've done that, we have never looked back. It's always just amazing. And the kids, they're not even disappointed. Like when we're like, you're getting your gift 7 months from now, this is what it is. They're like, cool, this is going to be awesome. And they forget about it for months, but then we go to it, and they really enjoy it, and they get what we're doing, which is gratifying.
It's like a marshmallow test.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I think that's great. They're learning to put off their sort of reward. And oh wait, they don't have a choice, but but they accept it.
Yeah, yeah. But as far as a joy from this week, geez, I don't really know. I'm having a hard time like with time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because we got back and I'm not even sure when things happened anymore. I think maybe my joy is that the last two nights I've actually had a good night's sleep,
Hmm.
because I was doing either a good night's sleep, or I was getting enough sleep at the wrong time, or I was like falling asleep at the right time but then waking up 3 hours later. And so I finally got 2 nights where it was just about right. So that's like a real base level joy of just kind of being able to function again.
Oh, I
'Cause
hear
I
you,
don't know
man.
why. Going the other way, it's never a problem, but coming back is so rough for some reason, going
Mm-hmm.
this way. Yeah.
It probably has something to do with the rotation of the Earth. I can't think of which direction it's going though. But it's a longer trip there, isn't it? Or is it a shorter trip?
You mean like actual time on the plane?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
I don't know if I mean, I think maybe a little shorter this way. I don't know. It's not a
drastically.
big enough difference to make it noticeable. The one difference that we had was we had a long layover in London this way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's interesting or it's funny that we both came into today's recording like, what's happening? Because this week has just been so disoriented, and then you coming back, you're disoriented as well, and we're like, what? What's today?
Well, and did we record on Friday last time? Was it Friday or Thursday?
I think that was
Friday, I
no
think.
no. Last week we recorded on Wednesday, I think.
Oh, did we? Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
remember. I don't remember, but it's just funny though. You're in the exact same like mental space as I am, because I'm like, I don't know what happened last week.
I was thinking about last week because I was talking to Jess, and I was talking to her about not yours, but the topless spa time. And yeah, she brought up something that I had forgotten, which was, we were talking about how maybe this thing got shut down. For in case people didn't listen last time, there was in New Brunswick a topless spa day for women only that was staffed by women, and it was just kind of supposed to be a relaxing thing, by my understanding, where people could not wear all the extra clothes when they're trying to relax at the spa. And it got shut down by a local official. And we had been talking about how it may have been because of prudeness or something. And she had reminded me about Scandinavian grandma bodies, um, which is that like us Americans and people around the Americas and our culture, we're not used to growing up seeing our naked grandmothers,
Right.
which both makes naked bodies really common and not something weird or lascivious or anything like that. But also because we have only seen like naked women or naked men in like, movies or in dirty magazines or whatever, where they're really fit and they have unrealistic bodies in many cases, we often are ashamed of our own bodies because we didn't grow up seeing our grandmas naked or our grandfathers naked and their body just like falling apart and the whole junk train of normal humanity, where so we have these unrealistic expectations that make us like ashamed and afraid of our bodies. So she had reminded me of nude Scandinavian grandmas, and and I thought that was worth just mentioning, if not on the podcast, then to you, just because I thought it was funny and also, kind of relevant. So
Well, yeah, it normalizes nudity and it makes it realistic. And exactly
yeah,
like you said, you're not going to compare your own body to like a muscle man or an Olympian woman or something to reality. It's yeah, which you can
yeah,
be that.
well,
You can be a muscle guy and Olympian. You just
yeah,
but
you could.
your average person looks like a melted candle. And
Right. Right. If you're used to seeing like Brad Pitt with his shirt off, it's a lot different than if you're used to seeing Uncle Lester in the Schwitz.
The Schwitz.
Thanks for joining us. New podcasts every Monday. And if any part of this show has resonated with you, let us know at outsidethemanosphere@gmail.com, at Instagram or Facebook. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast, or recommend us to a friend. We hope you'll come back.